Well, greetings all. Precious, the new Jamaican here. Wanted to share with you our solar panel install. Now that we have our roof on the property, we can install our solar panels. Now, one of the things we did was we bought our solar equipment um, really early on, well before we needed it, like the end of 2022. You know, we were in the middle of a global health pandemic, and the supply chain for everything was really, really, really bad. So we were fearing that if we didn't purchase our solar equipment as right then, there was a chance that it would not be available when we needed it. We did end up running into that issue with some other things that we wanted and waited on, and it just didn't come into stock year and a half later. You know, until a year and a half later, like one being our water pump. Anywho, so we ended up getting our solar equipment much earlier than we needed it, and we had to store it at where we were currently living. And our battery, the solar batteries are not meant to just be sitting around for a year or more. So the gentleman that we use for our solar company, he stored it at his place and just had it plugged in and operational so that it would be functioning properly when we indeed needed it. So what we're doing here is loading up everything, and we were also told that when we were storing our panels, we got about 10 panels, to make sure we didn't put anything heavy on them, and that's what the guys here are trying to make sure that they don't put anything heavy on top of the panels so that you wouldn't damage them. But we also wanted to make sure that they stayed in place for the ride to the actual site. But the solar system comes in handy. We are completely off grid and not tied into the grid at all. So no JPS. We do have a backup generator. But as you all know, we recently had a severe hurricane here, Hurricane Beryl, and I tell you what, this solar system came in handy because the power was out for many Jamaicans for about 3 weeks after the hurricane. And we suffered no issues like that at all. So it's a very expensive system. We paid about $13,000 for our solar system. We probably could have gotten it cheaper had we waited, but again, the supply chain issue scared us, and we didn't want to risk it. But yeah, well, it costs about $13,000, and I would employ you to really consider going solar. If you're going to be living anywhere, shoot, even when Beryl hit Texas and part of wherever it hit, a lot of those folks were out of power for a while as well. That's in the U.S., so you can imagine here in Jamaica, it was bad. It was really, really bad. But we had no problems in that area at all. So I would encourage you to indeed try and get a solar system, factor that into your budget, if at all possible. So as you can see, we have the panels on being installed on the roof of the house. They looked good. That's our inverter system, the panels again, and yeah, getting that whole system put in. So now we can have power at the house while they're continuing to build. We don't need the generator. We have power here. Yes. So one interesting thing happened while we were getting the solar panels delivered to the site. The truck, after we loaded them on, as you saw in the last scene, that truck got out of the driveway, turned, couldn't get on the street, and stopped. It was so scary. You're like, oh Lord, are we even going to get these things installed today? But it worked out. They got it fixed and got the truck to the site. So you're looking at the battery there, and all of the connecting that they're doing, testing everything. That's the inverter system. Everything's connected up, and we're ready to go. Now, time for a little instructions.
Okay, well, you basically have this is solar panels up there. They aren't hooked up yet. They're hooking them up now. This is battery. It's telling you the voltage of the battery is 53 volts. Okay, it's not using it. Using a little power to drive the thing.
Okay.
You have no grid. That would be grid tie.
Okay.
And this is what would go into the house when we're ready. That's what the house load is going to be in kilowatts.
Okay.
Okay, in case you ever hit any button or anything, if you hit the thing, and it just press the escape button and it comes back to where you are. And the only thing you're interested in seeing is you want to see normal up here, and you want to see where it says DC. That is the solar in.
Okay. So
And
once they get the panels hooked up, that light should be green.
that light will be green when the power is hooked up, and you won't have any AC because the AC is grid.
Okay.
Okay, so you don't have that.
Okay.
Okay, now over here, I'm not sure which way he's hooked it up. He's hooked it up that one way is
I think he said one would be if you need to hook the generator up.
one is generator.
Yeah.
Okay, then two is house. Okay.
Okay.
And only thing you have right here, you have a switch. This is okay. Let's start on the battery now. While we're talking about battery. Okay.
Okay.
This is the main on-off switch.
Okay.
Okay, and that you turn on, and you look at this. You press the enter button. And it tells you what you have now. Your voltage is 53 something volts. You're using 1.2 amps, and the state of charge is 96. It's discharging because it's running the inverter now.
Okay.
Okay? You just press enter, and that gives you that. That's the only button. This other stuff is cell voltage, but you're not interested in any of that. Cell temperature, and this is the on switch for there. Okay, and then here is the 60 amp breaker for the battery. Okay.
Okay.
If you use too much power, especially at night, probably not during the day because you have solar, but if you're using too much power in the night,
That'll
trip on you. It trips at about 60 amps.
Okay.
And 60 amps at 50 volts is going to trip at anything over 3,000 watts for now.
Okay.
Just to give you an idea. That's why eventually you're going to want a second battery that gives you 6,000 watts worth of power. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's it there. Okay.
Okay.
And nothing. Okay, over here. This is the on-off switch
Okay. For the inverter.
for the inverter. That turns the inverter on and off. It's pressed in now, you see. And then up here, this is the DC switch. This is for the solar. Once he has it hooked up, then I'm going to turn the solar on.
Okay. And then they okay.
And then you never touch any of these unless there was a major problem. Then you would turn the inverter off or if you had a major problem,
Yeah.
you would turn the inverter off. You would turn the battery off.
Okay.
And you would call me.
Okay.
That's
All right.
basically what it comes down to.
Okay.
But that's the best way to look at it.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. So once it's getting juice and you'll hear the fan. The fans will be running on the inverter.
Eventually, if you're using too much power or if it's charging at a high rate, the fans will turn on.
Okay. All right. All right. And then once we get into the house, we'll get
We'll get the
the app.
solar up and we'll see this. Oh, yeah. So you're hooked into the house now.
Okay.
But I'm going to let Troy do the breaker. I don't know where he's hooked things up. So I haven't turned anything on here.
Okay.
This is your main, 60 amp is your main breaker that controls everything
Yeah.
from the inverter.
Yeah.
And I think he has everything else turned off here.
Okay.
I don't know what everything's hooked up there, so I'm
Okay.
not touching that for now.
All right. So that's Troy's side of it.
That's Troy's side of it. So you stopped making noise? Okay. Now me. Inverter coming in, that looks good there. Okay. I know, you're gonna make a noise. Okay. Okay, let's get rid of that noise first. Hey, what's the date?
On the Voila, we have lights. So the house is powered. These are temporary lights, of course, and but the house is powered. We're ready to go. We don't need a generator to continue the project, and we're ready to go. We're moving along, folks. We're moving along.